$1,000 a square foot? Transfer tax? Whew, that place is small. Don't worry, I got you. You're moving to Vancouver and you don't want to be surprised when you're purchasing property here. Real estate is stressful when you don't know what to expect. And real estate can differ in a lot of cases, province to province, country to country, and even sometimes city to city. Today, we're gonna dive deep into Vancouver's unique real estate landscape. I'm going to give you 10 keys to make your move as seamless as possible. Save the surprises for my birthday party, not your real estate transactions. And stick around because number 10 is my all-time favorite about this city. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about real estate in Vancouver, subscribe below. Tap the bell for notifications to be the first to learn what's going on in the current market here in Vancouver. My name is Megan Becker. My team and I get calls every single day from people looking to make this incredible city their home. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give me a call, text, or email, and I'm excited to help you make a smooth move to the best city in Canada. Number one is the type of ownership. So this is not unique to Vancouver specifically, but it's something to be very mindful of when looking at properties, especially if you are looking in certain areas or at a certain price point. So there's different types of ownership. Freehold ownership is probably what you're most commonly used to. This is you own the land and the property free and clear. The other type of ownership that is very common in Vancouver, especially in certain areas like the West End, Falls Creek, is a leasehold type property. So this is where the city of Vancouver actually owns the land and you are leasing the land. You would own the condo, the unit in your condo, but oftentimes the land, you'll notice in the listing, the land lease will have an expiry date. So it's something to be mindful of. The pros about these types of properties are, compared to a very similar freehold type property, is they're going to be a lesser purchase price. So you get the benefit of a little bit more affordable unit, but you don't own the actual land. So they come with a lot of other pros and cons, but it's something to be aware of there, especially when it comes to financing, because if that land lease expires in a short time period, like 10 or 20 years, oftentimes you'll have issues getting financing on it because a lender is not going to lend you money on a property, you know, say a 20, 25, 30-year mortgage on a property if the land lease expires in the next 10 to 20 years. So it's something to be mindful of. The other type of ownership that is not as common as a land lease, but we still find here in Vancouver, is co-op type ownership. So this is similar to a strata in that this would be in a condo type building, like an apartment style condo, as the co-op would own the building, and part of your due diligence process when putting in an offer is you actually have to get qualified by that co-op. So it's the co-op that runs the building, like I said, very similar to a strata, and then you would be part owner in that co-op and you would get to vote for future owners. So it's another way both of these types of ownership, you see them more in the affordability type properties. So if that's an area that you're looking in, it's something definitely to have a further conversation about. So give me a call because I'm happy to chat and educate you on that and to see if that type of ownership is right for you. The second thing you'll notice when you look at listings are bedrooms, dens, offices, solariums, balconies, all of these rooms. So technically, to be classified as a bedroom, the space has to have a closet and a window that you can exit for safety reasons. And so you'll see a lot of places that don't actually have a bedroom, but they would call it a den or a flex space or rec room or something like that, that depending on what you're using this space for, it might suffice for that. Maybe you want this as an office or a spare bedroom or a nursery or something like that, that you figure out, okay, I don't actually need it as a bedroom, I just need an extra space. So when you're looking on the MLS and you're like, okay, I definitely need two bedrooms, be careful when you put in your search, because if a space has an office or a den, it's going to be classified as that, and it's not actually going to show up if you filter your search to a 2-bedroom. So that's why I always caution clients to. That's why I'm very hands-on when I'm doing searches for clients, because I can use different criteria. I can look for minimum 1 bedrooms, and then I can filter out den, office space, flex rooms, things like that. Because When I sit down with clients, I want to get to know your lifestyle, your goals, what you're using this property for. And that's what I want to understand. Could we potentially, instead of having a second bedroom, could we have a different type of space that would allow us to just open up that window to look at different properties there? I've had this conversation quite often with clients, is they want that second bedroom. They come with me, they're like, okay, Megan, I'm looking for 2 beds and either 1 or 2 bathrooms. And that's what I dig deep. I ask them, what are they going to use that second bedroom for? And they're like, well, I want it for an office or a spare bedroom. And so I said, could we maybe have a den? Could it look like this? Sometimes people have even used solariums. And so in a solarium, it's basically like an enclosed balcony, but in some of them, you have an actual wall, not the windowed part, that you could put a Murphy bed on. So when it's up in the wall, it is a desk. And then you can pull it down and there is your second bedroom. So depending on your use, maybe put some blackout blinds or something on the solarium windows there if you're actually using it as a second bedroom. But there's lots of different options that you can consider. So yeah, if you're looking for 2 bedrooms, be careful not to just solely filter your search to 2 bedrooms here. The other piece to be aware of is living space. So sometimes if it's a family and you're looking in a condo, or you have a husband and wife and one works from home but you want a little bit separate space, whatever that is I try and figure out, I conceptually get an idea of what your lifestyle looks like and figure out where can we create other living spaces in a unit. I know it's a very temperate climate here. You can see behind me it's raining today, but it does rain a lot in the winter time, but it's not very cold. And so one of the things that people really like doing here is taking a balcony space and converting it into an outdoor living space. You know, you put some turf on the balcony floor there, or maybe some tile, especially if it's covered, you put some heat lamps there, some nice outdoor furniture, and you've created yourself a really great outdoor living area that can almost second as a living room. So just being creative with the space that you have here, and the more that I understand about your specific goals, the better I can help you customize a property that would fit your lifestyle. So I'm curious, have you ever moved to a new city and were totally shocked about some real estate things that were different from your city of origin? I'd love for you to put it in the comments, because every city is a little bit different, province to province, country to country. Next thing to be aware of is parking. So when we're looking at condos, be aware that not all condo units come with a parking stall. Sometimes they will. This should be labeled in the MLS listing, but sometimes you can buy a parking stall, or you could rent a parking stall. That could be part of your offer due diligence period if you absolutely need a parking space. But Vancouver has done a really, really good job at creating a city that is very accessible by either public transportation, car share programs, and bike lanes, and it's very, very walkable. So depending on your lifestyle, you might not even need a car. And the other thing to be aware of if you're purchasing a townhouse, duplex, or single family is a garage. So I moved from Edmonton, where it is cold and snowy about half of the year, and a garage was a non-negotiable for me in my place. But it's not the same thing here, because we don't get as harsh winters. People aren't as hard set on parking in the garage in a covered spot. So oftentimes you'll find homes that don't even have garages. They'll have parking spaces, or lots of people here use their garage for storage, for extra space. I love a good garage gym. So when I purchase a single family home here, there might be a high likelihood that I will turn that garage into a gym versus a parking space. But who knows by the time that I get there. Maybe just a triple garage. Then I get the parking stalls and the home gym. But depending on your vehicle situation, that is something to be aware of. If you're looking at street parking, lots of places here have restrictions, so it's something again to be aware of. There are restrictions usually for residents, but sometimes there can be more or less parking available. So again, something to look into at the property that you're purchasing.
Number 4 is property transfer tax. So this is something that is unique to British Columbia, and it is a one-time tax that you pay on the purchase of a residential property here. So just something to note, it says here, this should not be confused with annual property tax, which is a countrywide thing. You're going to have property tax. You're going to have to pay every single year. Property transfer tax is something different that you pay just on the purchase of a property here. You can figure it out. It's a tiered system. So the general property tax is 1% to 200,000. Which is not going to get you much here in Vancouver. And then it's 2% on the value of the property between 200 and 2 million there. And then anything after 2 million, it's 3% there. And then it's a further 2% on any residential property over that $3 million mark. So the interesting thing to note is that there are some exceptions to getting exempt from the property transfer tax. And the exemptions can be found on this page. So first-time buyers have the ability to get exempt from property transfer tax on purchases of less than 500,000. And then between 500 and 750, it's a lesser amount. I always tell clients it's something to factor into your closing costs, but this website will give you a rough idea of how much to set aside for the purchase of your property here in British Columbia. I know that it was a big shock to some people that have moved from other provinces that weren't made aware of this. So that's the last thing I want, is for you to be surprised on closing day. So definitely factor this into your closing costs.
Number 5 is, yeah, it's expensive. So at the time of this recording, which is January of 2024, benchmark sale price for single family homes in Greater Vancouver area was 1.9 million. For townhomes, it was 1.1 million. And for apartment style condos, it was 751,000. So you compare that to a lot of other places in the country, and yes, in a snapshot, it can seem really expensive. That benchmark sale price does decrease the further that you move out into the valley, like cities like Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam, New West, and into Surrey, Langley, and further out there. And the reason for the high real estate prices here is because of geography. Vancouver is landlocked. You've got the ocean and the mountains, which makes the city so appealing, but that leads to not being able to build out further. Like a city like Toronto, where it can keep expanding, Vancouver doesn't have that luxury. The city of Vancouver itself is actually fairly small. It's about 700,000 people. And being that things are very desirable, that's how basic economics goes. You know, you have high demand, low supply, and prices go up there. But that is one of the common things that you will see in Vancouver is the housing affordability challenge. And the gap between income and benchmark sale price is more pronounced here than in a lot of other areas. Number 6 is the types of properties, especially when it comes to entry-level properties. So I just shared really quickly the benchmark sale price for a single-family townhome and apartment. So 750,000, which is benchmark sale price for an apartment-style condo here in Vancouver, that could be considered a very high entry-level price point for a lot of people. And so that's why you'll see a lot of people pushing home ownership off later and later. And so I work with a lot of team of professionals in different industries to be able to strategize how to make property ownership affordable and to get into property ownership as soon as you are realistically able to. So whether that, you might have that dream of this single family property as your first home, but maybe looking at it more in terms of getting into that property ladder, purchasing an apartment style condo, and then being able to build up from there. Maybe using that as an investment or having that short term, okay, I'm going to move my family into a couple bedroom condo and then be able to move up that property ladder later on. And I know a strategy that's appealing here, or being able to get into the pre-sale market or things like rent to own. There's different strategies here. And I like to sit down with clients because a lot of people just kind of look at home ownership in Vancouver because of the high benchmark sale price and they kind of just write it off. And that's the last thing I want people to do. I love having conversations with people about, okay, where are you at financially? What are your goals? And what are some strategies that we could put together to help make home ownership not this far off, never going to happen foreseeable dream, but an actual like, okay, this might not happen immediately this year maybe, but let's put a plan in place and here's something realistically that you can actually make happen. Number 7 is the small spaces. Yep, space is limited here. It's something that I had to get used to when I moved here. So back in Edmonton, I had a 2-story townhome, a basement, I had a main floor and an upstairs. It was 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. I had a home gym in the basement. I had a garage. I had a little bit of a yard, and it was about 1,200 square feet on 2 levels there. And I had a lot of stuff there. I had a lot of clothes. I had a lot of, just things that people collect. And so moving to Vancouver, when I first moved here, I moved into a very small 1-bedroom apartment, which most people, that's kind of their entry point into the Vancouver market. And I was in for a shock. I've always subscribed to the ideal of minimalism and decluttering, but I really had to level up my minimalism and decluttering game when I moved here. But it was something, kind of looking at this from a higher level, it was something that I absolutely loved. I went through all my clothes, my belongings, and if you've ever read Marie Kondo's The Magic Art of Tidying Up, I highly, highly recommend that book. It was a game changer as far as definitely one of my top 10 books that I've read that has drastically changed my life. And not just from a tidying up, but from a mindset that you go through the items in your home, everything, clothes, belongings, personal effects, whatever that is, and you basically hold up this item. Does it bring me joy? And I did that with every item, and it was such a peaceful and joyful experience because I realized I had a lot of items in my home that didn't bring me joy. They were cluttered or they were gifts, and I felt obligated to keep them, or I had just never taken the time to go through things. Piece that I use carrying forward is now when I go clothes shopping, I don't just buy things for the sake of buying things. I don't just buy it because it's on sale or because I'm frustrated with my current wardrobe and I need a new shirt because I'm going to an event tonight, which I did. I'm definitely guilty of that, which I'm sure probably you are as well, maybe to some extent. I was definitely guilty of that, the whole retail therapy. And it drastically changed my mindset when it came to clothes shopping and my pocketbook. Because I would look at this item and I was like, ooh, I really like this. It's on sale. I should buy it. And then I put Marie Kondo's filter on it and I said, does this actually bring me joy? Do I love this piece of clothing? And in a lot of cases, I was like, no, I actually don't. It's like good for now, but not long term. That really helped me declutter things. And I actually realized that I needed to live off of less things in my home. And so living in a small space, it's less about, a method to declutter and more of a mindset. But when it does come down to strategic ways to live in a small space, there are so many things that you can do here to create space. In my place right now, I have a kitchen table with a bench and there's storage under the bench. I have a couch and there's storage under the couch. Getting closet inserts designed by, different companies that can maximize space or take storage areas and putting custom shelving. You can hire people that will help you design that. Things like Murphy beds that when they're up in the wall, it's an office or a couch, and then you fold it down, it's a bed. You can create all of these different spaces or different uses for a small space. It'll actually blow your mind. And so I can introduce you to different people who work at different companies or different spaces to help you figure out how to configure your space once you're actually moved in there. So I'm curious, if you're a local here in Vancouver, what are your favorite space saving hacks? What are some things that you've done in your home to save space or create space or unique ways that you've really enjoyed organizing yourself? I'd love, put it in the comments. Number 8 is the foreign buyer ban. So as of January of 2023, foreigners are no longer allowed to purchase residential property here in Vancouver. And so there's a lot of detail that goes into this. I know I have friends and clients that are currently in the process of getting their permanent residency. And so every situation is unique, and I'm not an expert in this area. I'm not a lawyer. I do have connections to lawyers. And so I'm not going to dive in specifically to this. If you have questions, reach out and I can point you in the right direction. All my info is in the contact box in the description box below. But as of right now, foreigners are not allowed to purchase property here, and that ban is in effect for 2 years. And so depending on when you are getting your permanent residency, what that looks like, what your goals are here, we can strategize and figure out what a realistic time frame will be like for that. Number 9 is the zoning and development changes and restrictions. So a lot of cities right now are getting rid of single family zoning. So this is an urban planning concept to make all of the amenities accessible to anyone within a 15-minute radius. It helps eliminate the need for vehicles and creates a hub where you have access to everything at your fingertips within that 15-minute radius. So what does this actually look like? So here in Vancouver, within 200 meters of a SkyTrain station, which is our light rail transit system, you will now be able to build up to 20 stories, so a condo high rise. And then within 800 meters of that same SkyTrain station, up to 8 stories there. So it's increasing that densification around major transportation hubs. So again, what this is doing is eliminating that need for vehicles, it's creating more accessibility, and it's creating higher density and hopefully more affordable housing in those areas that need it. And number 10, my all-time favorite, is Vancouverism. This is an internationally known term that describes a new kind of city living. Vancouverism combines deep respect for nature with enthusiasm for busy, engaging, active streets and dynamic urban life. It means tall, slim towers for density, widely separated by low-rise buildings for air, light, and views. It means parks, walkable streets, and public spaces combined with an emphasis on sustainable forms of transit. And here in Vancouver, we've achieved this livable, high-quality urban design through creative planning combined with carefully crafted development policies and guidelines, extensive consultation with residents, businesses, and experts, ongoing reevaluation of where we are as a city, where we'd like to go. And it's no wonder city planners and urban designers come to Vancouver from around the world to find inspiration for reimagining their inner cities and look for more sustainable ways to live healthy and sociable lives. And that about wraps it up. All the things that make Vancouver real estate unique here. I hope that you got value from this video. If you're considering making a move, I'd love the opportunity to chat so that you understand exactly what your purchase will look like here in the Greater Vancouver area. Again, my name is Megan Becker, local realtor, eXp Realty. All my info is in the description box below, so please reach out. And until next time, I'm actually just gonna sit here in this window seat, which is one of my favorite spots, and just enjoy these incredible views behind me.